Hello, everyone. It's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I hope everyone is doing okay this morning. Um, Let me check my sound. This is more of a news update more than anything else, but I still want to make sure people can hear me. If you enjoy what I'm putting down, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and not just that, also hit the button and make sure that you get my notifications because I do shows all the time. So, I was playing this guy in chess one day, and one of the things that it's somewhat odd if people look at it, but you see people play moves out that they know, that both people know, is a loss. Meaning, this person is sitting down, the other person is sitting down, somebody's standing over top. It's clearly a loss. The person is making moves, and everybody knows exactly the moves that the person is going to make, but they make them anyway. The person gets up, shakes his hand, and walks away. It's like, why did that guy play all those moves out? I was playing an older guy once. He wasn't necessarily a tournament player, and it's a loss. And he moves a piece, and he moves the wrong way, and he's like, man, I said, wait a minute. Well, why are you doing it that way? Why don't you go that way? And he says, it's a loss either way. What does it matter? His point being, both of us know that it's a loss. This is more of a formality. Why are you giving me shit about what's the best move to lose on? You give people shit on which the best move to lose on because I don't know that as a flat fact that you know that. Meaning, you may drop dead on the board, in which case I win on time. Anything can happen between those two things. You play it out to the best way that you can play out the game. I don't want Bret Kavanaugh confirmed. Period. I don't cover this story much because I'm a partisan in this case, complete partisan in this case. I have no idea what took place 40 years ago. None of these people know what took place 40 years ago. And if you believe that an FBI investigation got to the bottom of it, you're insane. No clue. Now, I heard her testimony. She seems credible to me. By the same token, I have no clue. This comes across as brutally partisan on everybody's side. That should bother the American public that, yeah, there's reality to this. And no, you would never know what the reality of it is. And everybody who's essentially squawking about it is usually squawking about it from a perspective of partisan bias. I'm honest about my bias on this. I don't want Bret Kavanaugh confirmed. A vote comes up, a procedural vote, in order to exceed Bret Kavanaugh. Now, a full press attempt has been made by the Democratic Party to kind of push this idea of me too. Me too. And are you going to put a guy on the stand? No, we don't know he did it, but the idea that you're tarring the guy in this way makes him look extraordinarily bad, and it comes across politically as this guy potentially raped somebody. Are you really going to put him on the Supreme Court? And in the context of the Me Too movement, with all of these women looking like, are you going to put that guy on a Supreme Court with a rape allegation over his head? That looks bad. That looks exceedingly bad. So you can imagine the immense pressure that's being put on some of the members of Congress to say no on the grounds that this man could be a potential rapist. It is smash mouth politics. Full stop. Fact is, Democrats had no quiver in their arrow from the standpoint of basic politics, meaning we're in the political space, purely in the political space. And mind you, the political space exceeds beyond just the capacity to vote, but from the standpoint of the political edifice of the rule set that we have available to us, this guy's going to move upon, that guy's going to move upon, and everybody who's in this game already knows that this game is lost. And then you have this report. This guy may have raped somebody. There's a potential rape allegation hanging over his head. Do we know he did it? Nope, we don't know if he did it. But man, we need to talk about it. Man, we need to talk about it. And they ran with it. Now, whatever you want to say, they ran with it. Lefties wanted them to fight full tooth and bore, myself included. I'm not a Democrat, but I don't want Kavanaugh confirmed because I understand that Kavanaugh is going to be on that bench for 40, 50 years. Providing, God willing, he drops dead sooner. That's if he gets confirmed. I don't wish ill will on anybody, but I don't want him on that bench fucking up people's lives. This is what they got. I don't know whether she did it or not. Meaning, I don't know if there's a reality to this. She comes across as credible. It's awkward politically to turn around and say, you weren't raped and you're just doing this for political reasons. That's awkward to say. That's extremely awkward to say, because you would have to believe that a human being would get up and do something like that. Maybe, maybe not. It matters less to me because I don't know, and there's no way for me to know. I don't want Kavanaugh confirmed. Republicans have a procedural vote today. In this procedural vote, whether or not they're going to call a vote on Saturday in order to have a final confirmation vote, Murkowski crosses over to the Democrat side. Joe Manchin crosses over to the Republican side. And Joe Manchin votes Republican. What's the vote? 51-49. Now, yes, it's true that worse come to worse, even if Joe Manchin did vote in the way that ideally he would have voted, seeing as everyone else in the party voted a particular way, and seeing as the party itself, meaning if you went and asked random run-of-the-mill Democrats who they wanted to push for, they would have probably given you a stern and prodigious answer of, vote no. Why do we have to explain this to you? Vote no. 51-49, Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin votes in order to exceed this vote. There's going to be a final confirmation vote on Saturday on whether or not they're going to put Bret Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court bench. However that vote turns out, just know that it was Joe Manchin that allowed this vote to exceed. It is very true that Mike Pence would have had to come down in order to make that vote if it was 50-50, but so what? Make Mike Pence bring his ass down and to make that vote. It's called unyielding opposition to something that your party has deemed offensive and repugnant to take place. Who is Joe Manchin scared of here? Engage me on this for a moment. Who is Joe Manchin scared of? Why did Joe Manchin make this vote? Joe Manchin was terrified that there were going to be Republicans that take Joe Manchin out on a rail. Joe Manchin was voting because he was terrified. He wasn't voting maybe because he wanted the guy. I could be wrong on this. I would imagine that the easier win would have been to vote along with your party, seeing as 50 or 48 others voted with him. He was responding to his environment, meaning he was terrified in the election that came up that a bunch of Trump supporters would take him out of that seat. Who should Joe Manchin be scared of? This is the question that I'm asking lefties, progressives, people who consider themselves to the left, people who are not even in the Democratic Party but ever so often engages in an election if it's somebody who deems or strikes their fancy. Who should these people be terrified of? If Joe Manchin is a Democrat, why on earth is he terrified of Republicans? It shouldn't he be pissed off or afraid of the lefties and the other Democrats who would be willing to take his ass out of his seat for making a vote like this? Yes, this is the argument of no to some degree. This idea that there are red lines, that you put people in those offices to do particular things, and there are certain lines where you say, that's a fail for me. Under any scenario, that's a fail for me. And in this case, how on earth can a Democratic Party supposedly be this allied, unison almost, against Kavanaugh? And yet, here's this turncoat voting for Kavanaugh. Voting for Kavanaugh. Yes, the political abuse spouse of the Democratic Party. There is no lefty in his right mind that wants Kavanaugh on that bench. Why the hell is Joe Manchin voting for Bret Kavanaugh? And again, I understand that Mike Pence could come down and make the deciding vote. I don't care if Mike Pence could come down and make the deciding vote. Make him do it. You make him do it. Joe Manchin has just put his name on for Bret Kavanaugh. I asked, who should Joe Manchin be scared of? Those Republicans that are in West Virginia, or should he be scared of the Democratic Party, Democrats that are in West Virginia and the lefties? And should he keep his seat after making a vote like this? I don't care about any other vote that Joe Manchin makes. If Joe Manchin makes this vote, Joe Manchin should be taken out on a rail. The fact that he made this vote, Joe Manchin should lose his seat. Joe Manchin shouldn't be scared of the Trump supporters. He should be scared of the Democrats. And the fact that he is not scared of the Democrats, that he is in fact more terrified of the Trump supporters, should get you in mind that you, as an electorate, are doing something fundamentally wrong. I dare you to make this vote is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Bret Kavanaugh should not be able to take the Supreme Court. A, it looks bad that there's this allegation against him, whether he's guilty or not. B, there's severe allegations on whether or not he was lying. And C, there's more of an ancillary argument to this. The Republicans cheated in order to get Gorsuch on that seat, meaning they stole Obama's pick. This should delegitimize Bret Kavanaugh in and of itself, but it's not. So fair enough. This is why I call it an ancillary. This is the thing that makes me say I don't care whether or not Kavanaugh did it or not. I don't care. He shouldn't have the seat in the first place. And yet, they're going to give this guy a seat. At the very least, it should go after the election. The funny part is, Democrats wouldn't have the stones in order to keep that seat vacant for 2 years anyway. So, maybe it's a moot point. All right, I'm going to end this. This one wasn't meant to be long, but right here, let's show it before we leave. I am massively annoyed at Joe Manchin. Massively annoyed at Joe Manchin. I've never given Joe Manchin high marks anyway, so don't misunderstand me. But in a situation where you have 48 other Democrats that found the stones to have a certain degree of unison in saying, no, massively no. No, even before the rape allegations, mind you. Even before the rape allegations. It's like, from what I want of the world, this guy doesn't fit. Period. You don't get my vote. I don't need the rape allegation in order to say no to you. Now, the rape allegation is more so to say no from the standpoint of the Republican Party and to give some of these red state Democrats a justification. Well, you have your justification, sir. You've been given your justification. Still putting him on. That's amazing. He's more scared of the other party than he is of his own party. What's the word? Cucks. I think cucks was the word used. Senate advanced Bret Kavanaugh Supreme Court nomination in a key procedural vote Friday morning, putting him one step closer to confirmation and ending a deeply partisan and rancorous fight. The chamber voted 51-49 to advance the nomination after Republican leaders secured the votes of 2 GOP senators and one turncoat red-bellied Democrat, Joe Manchin, who had not publicly announced their intentions before arriving to vote. A final confirmation vote would come Saturday. The last of the undecided votes began filling into place after the senators reviewed a highly anticipated report from the FBI investigating allegations of decades-old sexual misconduct against Kavanaugh. The FBI report was just the cover. I'm sorry, it was just the cover. There was nothing in that report that would have ever had the Republican Party change its vote, nor was there ever anything in that report that would have ever had any Democrat to change their vote. Calling for the FBI report and then having the report sealed. It's one thing if the report is open, but the report is sealed. Nobody knows what's in it. Anybody can say anything is in it. From a politics standpoint, not necessarily the best. All right, I'm going to end this. I'm going to put this here. And right here, because everybody was wringing their hands over Jeff Flake. Oh, what is Jeff Flake going to do? What is Jeff Flake going to do? Senator Jeff Flake in Arizona, Susan Collins, 2 of the Republican holdouts, voted to advance President Trump's nominee, while Lisa Murkowski of Alaska was the only GOP to break with her party. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. All right. I'm going to end this here. I'm not going to keep it long. This annoyed me, clearly. This clearly annoyed me. I guess I have this odd view of politics and a belief in real things. And one of those real things is people, making people's lives better. If somebody is going to do something that is antithetical to what I believe people should be doing, then I'm going to be against that. Now, I don't need to have people talk to me to tell me to be against that, just as a human being in the political space. It's like, why are you in the political space? Is it to do real things or is it to do stupid shit? Exceeding him. I've heard Joe Manchin give the speech one time where he's like, Democrats, get to the heart of things, or some weird thing that he said. And then you make a vote like this. Somebody who, once he's on that chair, is completely untethered for anything that he says. He could be a rapist, for all we know. Untethered to anything that he's telling you. He could tell you one thing, you get on there and do the exact opposite. So any notion that he will be antithetical to this idea of women controlling their own bodies, anything dealing with workers' rights and workers' protections, why would you vote for that and call yourself a Democrat? And then it means you need to some degree, interrogate what does it mean to be a Democrat in this case. The key here is, and the saving grace, is that, 48 other Democrats voted in line, meaning 48 other Democrats at the very least said, hey, maybe we shouldn't put this guy through. Not Joe Manchin. Not Joe Manchin. Who should Joe Manchin be scared of? Other Democrats or other Republicans? Ask yourself that question. I ask that question because if he's going to call himself a Democrat, there should be red lines. Why is putting somebody on the Supreme Court for 40-something years? This guy could be on the court for 40 years, 50 years. Hell, he might be a long liver. 50 years. Joe Manchin would have been instrumental in making sure every ruling that guy has ever done bears Joe Manchin's name to some degree. It's fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing. But hey, you vote for Democrats in order to protect the Supreme Court, right? To protect the Supreme Court. All right. I'm going to end this. Long liver. I know. It sounds. When I said it, I know it sounded weird. What did Bernie vote? Bernie voted against him. I'm surprised there were 48. Me too. Rashid Holder. I am even surprised 48 Democrats voted no. I am shocked by that, which makes this stand out that much more. It makes this one stand out that much more. Yeah, it's like, wow, that guy. And he did so because he was scared of Republicans, the politically abused spouse of the Democratic Party. You understand all of these people who go with this idea that, oh, you have to give these guys leeway. Oh, you have to vote for the Democrat because he's not a Republican. He's voting for somebody who's going to be on the Supreme Court for the rest of his life. One vote after the next. And you can't even get a certain degree of party loyalty out of him because he's more terrified of the Republicans than he is of his own party, because he knows there'll be sheepdogs making excuses for him. He needs to lose, and people like him needs to lose. Otherwise, you get no change. Nothing ever takes place if you allow people like this to walk that rope. If he's not more terrified of you than he is of the other people, then you, to politically abuse spouse of the Democratic Party, he should not get a pass on this. He should not get a pass on this at all. Jamal, you didn't mention that there was more Democrats could have done, especially perjury. Paul J. Among covers this. So there are two things. There's the censure vote thing. I've heard people make arguments on this. The problem is, yes, there's more Democrats could have done. If you're talking about stalling tactics, yeah, that's true. That is true. Hopefully, this discourages neoliberals in the DNC more than anyone else. Bob Ramirez. The strategy sort of backfired with Kavanaugh then, huh? D. Martin. Well, yes, kind of ish. I mean, and strategy thing makes it a little weird. We don't know. God, man, this case sucks. This just sucks. Like, the politics of this is gross. They can hold a vote whenever they want. Yeah, they said they were going to hold it on Saturday. Yeah, the politics of this is just gross. I don't see why you think that is even in question. Yeah, they're digging up dirt on him. The allegations could very well, that's my point. Yeah, they could be true. That doesn't change the fact that they're digging up dirt on him. Yeah, I don't see why you think he's going to be on the Supreme Court for the rest of his life. Of course they're going to dig up dirt on him. Yeah, that's just politics. That's, of course. Democrats never had a solid case. For the moment, assume for the moment that this is true. Like, don't misunderstand me. It's not as simple as either it's made up or it's not. It could be, it's perfectly true that was used for political effect. It's not as simple as it's true or false. There could be reality here. Meaning that reality could be that woman was raped by Kavanaugh. And yeah, with that, it could have been a Democrat like, yes, he touched her inappropriately, yes, we have something that we can use. Yeah, all of that could be true. It's not a true or false. That's the first point. As for the case backfired, it depends on what you mean by backfired. I mean, the goal of this was to stop Kavanaugh from getting approved. And if you've made it so politically disgusting to vote for the guy because you think the guy's a rapist, then I don't necessarily know if you could say no. Ultimately, Kavanaugh was going to get confirmed if they didn't do anything at all. So him getting confirmed with extra headwind on him, I don't necessarily know if that's a horrible thing. Now, your argument is the politics of it itself, meaning people coming to the polls and all that other stuff. I have no idea. I don't know. I haven't seen this kind of massive swing of support. I've only seen Republicans being a little bit pissed off at it. Yeah, I don't know. Kavanaugh needs to be stopped. He's going to be on that bench for 50-some years. He needs to be stopped, full stop, period. This is all about letting the DNC down. Oh, this is all about the DNC letting down the voting segment they carve out with the positions of divisive issues of abortion. They don't care about Kavanaugh or abortion rights. See, I think they do care about Kavanaugh, but I think they care about him even from political reasons. Like, look, both parties are corporate, so fair enough. It's like saying both people breathe air, both people drink water. Both are playing on somewhat of an even playing field on that, meaning both are obsequious to the same ends. So what do you argue about if both of you are obsequious to somewhat of the same thing? You argue about different things. It's possible that they do care about Kavanaugh. I mean, even from the standpoint of their ability to exist. Some of the things that the Republicans are going after is the Democratic Party itself, meaning the existence of the party itself. The things that they've been attacking, think about what they've been attacking: voting rights, stopping people to vote for people who vote Democrat, unions, institutions that essentially support the Democratic Party. Look at what they did in Maryland. I think it was North Carolina, where they was chaining the governor. The Republican Party started putting chains, not literally, I'm just saying started limiting the power of the governor because the governor was going to be a Democrat. Republican Party don't just play politics from the standpoint of politics. They're also going after the things that allow the other party to exist itself. With a bunch of conservative on the court, the things that Democrats might actually want to implement, seeing as they're a corporate party that is, with a modest, a tepid thought towards social programs in order to kind of stop the population from getting pissed off enough to take it all. They may want to do stuff that way that is going to be limited based upon what the Republicans do. So I don't necessarily think it's this full thing if they don't care. I don't think that's true at all. Now, whether they can do anything about it from what they're willing to give is different. I'm saying this poorly. It's like saying, yes, I want to lose weight, but you have to go to the gym to do that. Oh man, I don't necessarily want to go to the gym. I do want to lose weight. Let's see. It's about partisan is tearing up our institutions. That part is true. That part is true, Cardinal. Partisanship is tearing up our institutions. That part is very true. I don't know how you fix that. I mean, ultimately, you have a situation where a system gets to the point where cash is the impetus in that system. Meaning the same capitalist winner-take-all, what's happening, Anthony? Thank you, man. Hi, Jamal. I'm Tony and Streamlabs. Keep up all the good work. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. In a capitalistic system, we have a situation where people can maximize their wealth. Maximize it to the infinite degrees, apparently. I mean, Bezos says 150 billion worth of cash. That's one man. That's enough to get rid of poverty all over the entire world itself. That's one man. He would still have like $10 billion after doing something like that. He can still be fabulously wealthy and get rid of poverty. Not so much. That's influence our political system. Like, there's no bar on the door. There's nothing to stop that same drive of cutthroat society where values and integrity doesn't necessarily matter from instigating itself into the political space, especially when the political space is motivated purely by cash. Like, the thing that runs through the political system is cash. Why would the thing that has that impetus of I need to get as much as I can get, fuck all to do it? Why would that stop there when that same influence, that same money, influences the political space? If you notice, it got worse and worse and worse. It wasn't always this way. It got particularly worse when money starts flooding the political scene, the political arena. My point is, I don't know how you fix that. I mean, you can say get money out of politics. Fair enough. How do you do that? How do you do that with people who essentially live off money in politics? You would need mass popular support. But that's that case of, that doesn't really say anything because everything requires a certain degree of mass popular support. I'm not optimistic on this stuff. But whether I'm optimistic or not, I play this game out in hopes it gets better. Right here. From what I've seen, no, I don't. From what I've seen, this process has been driven by partisanship. Yes. Do you really think Democrats give a fuck for forward rape? No, I don't. No, I don't. But I said as much. I said as much. The only thing I would say here is I've always been honest in this case about what I thought about it. And I've always been honest that I didn't want Kavanaugh confirmed. Stop Kavanaugh. When you hear other people get up and they wring their hands or they gin up this kind of rage at Kavanaugh and all this other stuff, at Ford, there's a woman here that potentially was raped. And listening to her testimony, it did not come across to me as if she was making it up. It seems that it's very possible that this woman was raped. If you want to say the Democrats are playing politics with it, fair enough. Just, be aware that there's a possibility that the woman was raped. Now, people can say you're being unfair to Kavanaugh and all this other stuff. Fair enough. I have no idea what happened 40 years ago. And my point here is none of them do. None of them do. They're taking political sides. Democrats are stalling. I never said the accusations were unfair. Oh, and by the way, they should stall. Why wouldn't they? They should. They should. Republicans have been trying to expedite this process. And they've been doing so even after stalling for over a year for Obama's pick. They cheated Obama out of a Supreme Court pick. And the idea that I'm going to care what happens to their nominee is whatever. A man sitting on the moon, I say they cheated that guy. It's perfectly right for that person to be held up. The catch to this is, held up to what end? Pretend for the moment that they actually stop Kavanaugh. Something happens. Who knows? But they stop Kavanaugh. There's a hand of God at the last moment. And Flake, flips back the other way saying, oh my God, my conscience would not allow me to put this man on the bench. That type of stuff. Okay. Let's say they even take the nomination, or they win the Senate. Okay, let's give them all. Let's give them both. What are you going to do after you take the Senate? Are you going to confirm anybody at all? Are you going to confirm anybody at all? And because I'm getting to a point here. If you are, then what's the point of all this? If you're not, that is ballsy. You will get credit for me like nobody's business. But I have a hard time believing that Democrats have the stones to do that for 2 years. But that is exactly what they should do. That is exactly what they should do. And by the way, if they do confirm Kavanaugh, yes, they should investigate him further. And not just investigate him further. Attack the Supreme Court. Sorry, but fair or not, Trump is going to get a pick. Well, again, I told you what I would do. So, just saying. Do you think this is a staged show? Democrats privately support Kavanaugh. I don't think they privately support Kavanaugh. Democrats privately support Kavanaugh, but have to put up a fake show of resistance to keep the system going. I'm not that cynical. I'm not that cynical. You can't have it both ways, meaning from the standpoint of you can't put on a show. If you've primed your audience to believe that everything that Trump does is the work of God, of devil himself, fine. Then after you convince the people that everything he does is the work of devil himself, a Supreme Court pick comes up. All of those people who you've primed to say this man is the devil himself, all of those people know that Obama, because they loved Obama, that Obama wasn't able to get his Supreme Court pick in because of what the Republicans did to Obama. All of them know it. Every last one of those people who support you, who send you money, meaning the Democratic Party, all of them know it. All of them were Hillary supporters. Every last one of them. They're angry and they're vicious. It's like a pack of hyenas being let out at night after night, eating for a week. Kavanaugh comes up. What are you going to do? Are you going to support this guy that all of these hyenas are looking at as fresh meat? And then the Me Too thing comes up. Oh, God, it becomes radioactive. I don't think they're faking it or staging it. Whether they like Kavanaugh or not is somewhat irrelevant to the politics. They're forced by the political winds itself. To get that across, some of these guys are in red states. And despite being in red states, they're still staying in allegiance, in alignment, saying no. Like, so, 48 Democrats just holding up, just chaining themselves to the walls of Congress. Like, no, you stopped Obama. So the idea that 48 of them would do that gets across, like, the level to which they want to stop the guy, or at the very least get across to their audience, we're trying to stop them. Like, that, say what you will, I am surprised by that number. I am really surprised by that number. Fucking Joe Manchin. God damn, Joe Manchin. They didn't stop Obama, though. Let me see. Democrat leadership made a decision to put up Garland, yes, and Hillary more draft. So kind of yes, kind of no. I mean, yeah, they put up Garland because they wanted to try to embarrass Republicans. Like, look at this guy. This is milquetoast guy. You know, this guy is easy. Thinking that they can use that for political points. Their plan failed miserably. The only reason Republicans had the hearing and investigation before the votes was their own interest. Democrats can't make them do it. Nonsense. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, Democrats can't make them do it. It's Chuck Schumer's job to get Joe Manchin's vote. Yes, he could. But he can't force the guy. I mean, he can't attack him. But yeah, he can try to compel him. Yeah. Merrick Garland. Yes, Chuck Grassley's first pick for Supreme Court. Right. Well, yeah, Obama was trying to embarrass him. You can't shame Mitch McConnell. No, you can't shame Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell was not ashamed. I mean, they broke all precedent to take Obama's pick. They broke all precedent. Like, this goes to the partisanship that you're talking about, Garden. That was never done before. Nobody's ever done that. Like, held the man up for over a year and a half. It was at least, it's like Congress rules, gentlemen's rules, that you essentially allow the president to get his choice, even if you're from the opposition. No, they blocked him. They cheated. They cheated him big time. Smoking Joe must pay by losing his seat. Yes, he should lose his seat. Otherwise, what's the good? What's the point? What's the point of a Joe Manchin at that point? If on certain votes, big votes like this, somebody's going to be on that bench for 40, 50 years. If you can't make this vote, then what's the point? Yeah, there should be a line in the sand where you say, I'm done. Done. Check, please. Check, please. After what they pulled, that's right. You shouldn't have to explain to Joe Manchin why you shouldn't vote for the guy. There was a great interview from Paul J. answering questions on the Real News. Just wanted to say, yeah, I'm going to check him out. Yeah, I love Paul J. I love Paul J. I've heard arguments that they could have done more. I've heard the argument on quorum, but all of those have certain flaws in them. I mean, the quorum argument, they could force votes in this. I mean, like, it's not one of those things where just Democrats don't show up and they just never come back. I mean, they could compel Democrats' hand on this, trying to just push through all sorts of stuff. Like, you mean quorum? So for quorum, this idea that if Democrats don't necessarily show up and there are not enough people there, that they don't have to make the vote. McConnell, if I read this correctly, can call all sorts of votes that force the Democrats at some point to come in to try to make a vote. But to be fair, I need to see what Paul J. said. I need to see what he says. The left has to wake up to reality that Trump is going to get a pick, whether it's BK, Kavanaugh, or someone else. Yeah, I hear you. I would say this. Democrats will give him a vote at some point. Yes, I agree with you on that. Should they? No. Should they? No. Yeah, they won't do shit like this. Yeah, they won't do this. Democrats won't do shit. It's just more midterm fodder for the midterms advertising. Maybe. Bob, that may be true, Bob. That may be true. Trump may have 3 picks by 2020. God. Yeah, that's painful, man. That's painful to even hear. What the Democrats should do is to reform the Supreme Court. Maybe these guys need to run in elections. Not just running elections. Maybe these guys need to have term limits. They need to change the Supreme Court. West Virginia voted 70% for Trump. That is what West Virginia wants. Outsiders, quit crying. Yeah, then he shouldn't be a Democrat. He should change his thing to a Republican then. No. I don't mean pack the Supreme Court. No, I just mean there's nothing in the Constitution that says there can't be term limits. The Supreme Court can be reformed. It's open to changing. It's just the political body. It's just a legislative branch like anything else. Not a legislative, a branch of government like anything else. It's subject to law. And being subject to law, it can be changed. Those guys can have term limits. They can be maybe 10 years that they're in the court. Hell, they could be up for running for office if you need them to be. They can be changed. I'm saying they should be changed. I don't mean adding seats to the court. I mean changing the court itself. Yeah. But Democrats will never muster up the stones to ever say anything like that. Monopoly. The Democrats and the GOP are just playing Monopoly. Both are trying to land on the blue spaces only, and everyone poor goes to jail. Only and everyone poor goes to jail. Tony, keep up the good work. Oh, thanks, Tony. Yo, you didn't have to put that twice. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. There was a great thing that Tom Hartman explaining the history of the Supreme Court and how it's authoritarian. Yes, I saw that. I saw that. So Tom Hartman, God, man, Tom Hartman, if you lived in a socialist utopia, Tom Hartman would be there with you arm in arm. But he's a Democrat, and as a Democrat, he's a creature of the party. But one of the brightest men you'd ever come across. Tom Hartman explains that the Supreme Court wasn't supposed to have jurisdiction over government in this way. That it wasn't supposed to, the legislative branch wasn't supposed to be subject to the laws of the Supreme Court. It's a fascinating thing. It gets in this thing that it's not supposed to be able to like manipulate the laws in that way and interpret the laws in this way. Saying that, you know, these guys can interpret the laws to be anything. This is not something that we want. But he didn't say anything about it for political reasons because he won his case. I can't remember the entirety of it. But it's a fascinating talk about the Supreme Court. Tom Hartman is amazing on this stuff. Yeah, Tom Hartman knows his shit. Tom Hartman knows his shit, man. God, man, I'm going to have to look that one up just because you put that up. That was a really good one. Thanks, John Doe. That was a good one. I love that one. I love that one. Creative experiments. Tom Hartman is like an encyclopedia. He knows history. Horrible to get your morals and ethics from. Jay Scott. Yeah, Joe Manchin needs to go. Doug Jones is another Joe Manchin in the making. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. D. Martin. Hartman is so brilliant, he endorsed Oh, Hartman is so brilliant, he endorsed Hillary. Oh, Martin, you're an asshole. Oh, D. Martin. You're doing a great job as well. Oh, thank you, Matthew. Jay, we need a proper court. Block me all Trump's pricks for another year only and represent failure by institutions. Then the institutions need to fail. He needs to be blocked. I agree with Jay. I agree with Jay on this. Jay and I may differ on some things, but on this we agree. That court is going to be there for God knows how long. And this is not an institution that's being fair in the interpretation of law. They're a political body. They're just like a Democratic Party or Republican Party, but in this case having an overview of law. I mean, think of, what's that guy? Think of a libertarian think tank giving an analysis of a Bernie Sanders healthcare plan. What is the libertarian think tank going to think of it? Versus, let's say, a more left-wing think tank. I'm saying that they're not impartial actors. I don't know anybody in their right mind who could look at this and say they're impartial actors. It was the Supreme Court that gave the presidency to George W. Bush, and then goes and says this ruling can't be used for any other rulings because they knew what they did was gave over the presidency. This idea that we had a functioning Supreme Court is nonsense. Yeah, you block all of them. You should have unrelenting pushback when anybody that Trump wants to put up. They stole multiple Supreme Court picks. What are you not getting from this? What are you not getting from this? And yeah, we need to get rid of the life appointments. I mean, right now you have a Republican body that is essentially interpreting law and is manipulating that law in partisan ways. And the argument that, well, we need a functioning court. Yes, we need a functioning court, but that's not what we have. I'm sorry, that's not what we have. And they literally gave that over. I'm a radical on this. I'm a full-on flaming lefty on this. They're not partisan. They are entirely partisan. That Supreme Court acts in Republican interests. Have you seen the Chris Hedges interview on Tom Hartman? It feels to me like progressives are uniting against corporate Democrats recently. I wish that there was more. God, man, I wish that there was a solidarity of no. Like where you know, these other lefty networks that for the most part toe the line on stuff where they shouldn't be towing the line on. Yeah, I wish there was a unison on this, but maybe, I don't know. The thing is, Tom Hartman was never, he's partisan, but he's not, it seems to get more so during election time. Let's say it that way. It get more so during election time. But under normal circumstances, I like the guy. Skip Rock. Lefties need to grow up. It's inevitable. Lefties need to give up. You guys had a good run. It's over. Trump and his supporters won. The Supreme Court is going, yeah, screw that. If we lose, make me know it. Make me know it. Yeah. Duopoly became a game show fight over cash and prizes. I love that. Yeah, I love that. Duopoly like Monopoly. It's almost like a it's a pun. There is little or no actual difference between them. I think there's modest difference. I guess the question becomes, where's your line? Like, where's the line in the sand where you say, okay, I'm done? Where? And if that line continues to slide further and further and further to the right, but just because it has a D beside its name, you're still calling it the same thing. It's like, little Tommy grew up to be a gangster and you're still looking at him as little Tommy. Little Tommy is a goddamn killer. You need to regard him for what he currently is. I agree. I support you, JT, because you don't toe the line. Oh, thank you, Anthony Reyes. Thank you, Anthony Reyes. At some point, when do you say I'm done? That's the question. And then when you say I'm done, I'm doing something different. I don't know what that difference is. I'm doing something different. It's only at that point where things change. Up until that point, you've still given your support over to somebody who realizes that I don't have to do. It's like, I give a perfect example. Oh, not a perfect example. It's not a great example, actually. Maybe. People who, kids whose moms are with them regardless of what they do. Like, it's like the kid could be doing really bad shit in school. The mom is there to bail him out. The kid gets up, gets into a life of crime. The mom's there to bail him out. And at some point, the mom stops. And the kid is like, oh, mom is not going to do that anymore. He's not going to grow up. The political equivalent of an abused spouse is a better one. This idea of a person who's giving their support to some crack addict, druggie. At some point, you leave. Either that crack addict druggie dies on the floor or gets clean. But the very fact that you're there supporting the crack-headed druggie allows that person to be a crack-headed druggie. That is my analogy for the Democratic Party and lefties that prop it up. If you really want to get something accomplished in the world, you're not going to get it by supporting people that don't want to get those things accomplished. At some point, you move on. That thing either needs to die or it needs to become something else. But right now, it is resisting becoming anything else other than what it is. Joe Manchin has just voted for somebody to be on the Supreme Court for 40, 50 years that would implement one nasty Republican policy after the next and may attack even things like Roe versus Wade. I'm just saying. Just saying. Have you read some of the dissenting opinions on the Dr. Poore testimony? Her story does not hold up under scrutiny. Saying she seems credible comes off as disingenuous. I can't get behind you on this. I've read, me saying she seems credible, I listened to her testimony. And in listening to her testimony, she comes across as credible to me. Now, I don't know why that seems disingenuous. And by the way, disingenuous? How am I being disingenuous? I told you from the beginning, I don't want Kavanaugh confirmed. I even told you in the beginning, I don't care whether or not the allegations are true. I don't want Kavanaugh confirmed. I've been the most honest person in the world about my perspective on this. Now, in a secondary state, I'm making the point to you that I listened to her testimony and she seemed credible to me. Now, I'm basing this off of listening to her actual testimony. If she's lying, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I've been the most credible person on the planet on this. Are you serious? I've been radically honest on this. I'm less concerned about whether or not it's true. I don't know if it's true. Something happens 40 years ago. All right. One person says this, the other person says something else. This person seems pissed off, the other person seems pissed off. Where am I supposed to go with that? Okay, let's call it the FBI. All right, the FBI has a week with certain contingencies that they have to go back 40 years and they're supposed to get to the bottom of this. Do you honestly believe that anybody in this situation knows what took place? The answer is no. Answer is no. So what am I to do with this? I don't want Kavanaugh confirmed. Whether or not Kavanaugh raped somebody when he was a kid or not, I didn't want Kavanaugh confirmed before this took place. So I definitely don't want him took place after. But you're asking me a separate question on whether or not she seemed credible. Yeah, she seemed credible to me. I don't see why that's a, it's like, come on. She named another person in the room. Why would she do that if it was a lie? She named multiple people in the house. Yeah, this does not come across to me as a lie. I'm sorry. Stephen Carl, new t-shirt idea. The most credible person on planet Earth with a globe wearing the fedora. That was funny, right? But I've been fantastically honest on this. Like, honest to a degree where I thought after the fact maybe you were too honest. I don't think people realize how important the federal courts are and what is happening to them. Jay Scott, we are in perfect agreement on this. We're in perfect agreement. I agree, Jamal always stands for free cash and a pony, even though the money isn't real. Oh, free cash and a pony, that's fucked up. Obama had an opportunity to fill many of the federal benches. Trump is doing it now, yeah. They should have been more rough when doing that. I mean, Harry Reid was being very skittish about getting rid of the veto power. Republican Party did not wait one iota. He's putting those people in those courts. Obama should have been able to put more in. Joan Fork, I don't believe the allegations against Kavanaugh. I believe it's an attempt to stall the vote and later take the seat. Joan Fork, it may be, but the key point in this is believe. You don't know. Like, what people are getting pissed off at what they consider to be partisan rancor. Like, they look at it and says, okay, Democrats are just being partisan. Republicans look at it and say, okay, Republicans are just being partisan. Missing the point that there is a woman here who may have been raped by somebody, and that person may be Kavanaugh. And the idea that we're going to roll this shit along without actually investigating this is a little terrifying. The idea that all of this stuff is boiling down to this kind of partisan back and forth for something like putting somebody on the Supreme Court is a little terrifying. The reality of this matters less. Matters less. All right. I agree, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know. That's why I don't even make that argument. Like, I just don't want Kavanaugh on the seat. I'm not going to make the argument about whether or not he raped somebody or not. It's possible he did. It's possible he didn't. I don't know. If they catch him on lying, then they should hit him on lying. If it's one of those things. But if I'm being honest, just from a political standpoint, I would not confirm Kavanaugh. Period. Period. Whether he raped somebody or not is secondary to the reason why I wouldn't confirm him. He tried the let's all be friends crap because they were getting paid and directed by the same oligarchs. All right, I'm going to end this. My audience is arguing. That's always great. Let me check this before I leave, because Balthazar points it out saying, dude, you haven't checked that. And we have, come on. When we jumped into Cairo, like I said, we took all these contingency plans, like little like Wi-Fi devices and all this other stuff that we need. And this is the first place where we've had to use it. So it's like, oh God, is this thing gonna work? This thing works amazingly. Yeah, man, that saved our bacon on this one. Hundreds of candidates. It's not like the GOP doesn't have hundreds of replacements for Bret Kavanaugh. No, that's true. That have the same views and much better records. Is Bret Kavanaugh worth dying on this hill for? Is this hill worth dying on for Bret Kavanaugh? That's a fascinating question. That is a fascinating question. I think at some point it gets to this kind of just political thing of, you're not making me move. Like if that makes sense. Like, you're not making me change my vote. Or you're not making me, we put this guy up, and this is the guy we're going to push through for issues of power, not necessarily because there aren't better people to do it, if that makes sense. They don't want to pull a guy. It's like if I'm playing chess and I'm saying, yes, I could trade down right now, but I'm going to make this mofo. Well, in their minds, it's, I'm going to make this mofo. Trudy, the 8 gave us gay marriage. I don't care what the reason, they should not confirm this Democrat hater. Agreed, Trudy. Agreed. We're in agreement. Trudy and I argue all the time, but on this one, we're in agreement. $5 to the most honest person. Oh, Jim Garrison. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Jim. I just didn't see the point in lying about the like, I don't know why any Democrat, why any lefty at all, for that matter, socialists, anything to the left of let's say Scalia, would want this guy confirmed. Honestly, within the context of they didn't even give your guy a vote. They didn't even give your guy a vote. There's nothing in you that bothered by that. Like, there's nothing that dwells in the heart of other Democrats that says, God, man, they broke all precedent to prevent our guy from even getting a vote. And then for any of them to turn around and vote for anybody that Trump puts up is problematic to me. Yes, I'm sorry, that's a red line to me. That's a red line to me. I understand that's partisan and all that other. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't want this guy on the bench. I don't want this guy on the bench. From the standpoint of, I just think of all the stuff that this guy is going to be doing. When Gorish got in, the first thing that Gorish did was attack workers' rights. That has nothing to do with the label at all. It has everything to do with what the guy's going to be doing in real life, physical matter reality. I don't want this guy confirmed. It has nothing to do with him being Republican or anything else. The people who voted for Joe Manchin, I don't know what to say about them. The question is, are they going to vote for him again? Are they going to vote for him again? The FBI also hit the scandal. They've been prepping this since April, the representatives. Obama was not my guy. I don't think his pick would have been much better than Trump's. Who said my guy? Oh, you guys are arguing. No, Obama wasn't his guy. I don't think Obama was Garno's guy. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. Thanks all. I'll see you guys in a few. He said,